When I tell you the Eagles' defensive line is completely cooked, I mean we haven't seen a performance like this from Monday night in a very long time. With Bryce Huff being called now unplayable, Jalen Carter causing locker room issues, and Jordan Davis being completely useless, leaving Vic Fangio with only really one option. Plus, Nick Sirianni provides an update on A.J. Brown, and are we sure Kellen Moore knows Dallas Goedert still exists? Thomas Mott, this is the Thomas Mott Show. Out of all the issues the Birds had on Monday night, I did not expect the media's biggest concern to be whether or not Nick Sirianni addressed the team following their fourth quarter meltdown, which, by the way, since 2023, the Eagles' defense has allowed 140 points in the final 2 minutes of games, which not only leads the NFL, but they now also have the most losses when leading entering the final 2 minutes in the same time span. Still, back to Sirianni addressing the team, he did confirm to WIP this morning that it was just Jalen Hurts who spoke to the team post-game, adding that he felt like Hurts' speech was spot on and made every point needed. So if you're following, the media wants Hurts to be more vocal, they want him to be more of a leader, and yet Sirianni letting him do that is somehow a bad thing? Honestly, I'm more interested in Nick Sirianni giving us an update on A.J. Brown, saying it's, quote, too early to tell if A.J. will play versus the Saints, but the team is making 2 game plans for if he does, and of course, if he does not end up playing. Which, by the way, A.J. missing wasn't really the problem on Monday. In my opinion, I'll explain that a little later. The real problem with the Birds was obviously the defensive line, giving up over 150 yards on the ground for the second straight week, leaving Philly Voices Jimmy Kempski to label the Birds' top free agent defensive end Bryce Huff as, quote, unplayable after watching the film. And honestly, I'm not a film expert, but he might not be wrong. It's not just reps like this where Huff just falls down for absolutely no reason. He consistently loses outside contain on nearly all running plays. And then, of course, can't get off blocks from even tight ends like you see here going one-on-one again against a tight end. I mean, where's this pass rusher? The one from New York last year that obviously deserved a $17 million a year contract. Like, look at this. He was a stud last year. One-on-one situations. The film shows Bryce Huff is a good pass rusher. There's 2 straight minutes of Huff bowling tackles on both sides, including, how about this, Jordan Mailata during the Eagles and Jets game last year. I mean, this rep right here of Huff versus a Falcons tight end where he can't even move an inch forward in almost 5 seconds is absolutely unbelievable. I don't know if you can actually bench Bryce Huff simply due to the fact that Nolan Smith behind him has pretty much been unplayable as well, but my goodness, if you thought it was bad, the film is 100 times worse when it comes to Bryce Huff. Really quickly, did you guys realize there's only 7 Eagles home games left for the entire 2024 season as of right now? They're going to happen really quickly, so I decided to partner yet again with SeatGeek to sponsor today's video to help you be able to go to a Birds home game in 2024. SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app in the entire App Store with over 28 million downloads, which is like a ton, giving you access to tickets to over 70,000 events. Now, of course, you're probably worried about only one venue, and that is Lincoln Financial Field. I understand, rightfully so. I feel the same way. Personally, if you haven't been to the Link yet for an Eagles home game, not just this season, but ever, this is a great opportunity to go ahead and go to your very first Eagles game in person. And finding tickets to the Eagles game, it's, as usual, super easy with SeatGeek. They pull all the tickets from across the web into one place, and even rate the best deals on a scale from 1 to 10. Little hint there, just look for the green dots, which means, yep, it's a good value. Just use my code MOTT to get $20 off your next purchase of Bird tickets via SeatGeek. Use the link down below in my description box. That will get you to the app. Download that. And again, use my promo code at checkout to get $20 off your next order of, hopefully, Eagles tickets to your first Eagles game this year. But it's also not just Huff. Like Josh Sweat, he's also not generating anything from the other side. Right here, gets completely railroaded by a tight end on this play, and he can't move forward at all. And it's not just Eagle fans who are noting this. How about the film breakdown from former offensive lineman Brian Baldinger, further amplifying the main issues?
Falcons had a nice day running the ball against this Eagles front. They're not doing it without excellent job blocking by the tight end Pitts and Drake London all night long. Like right here, this safety's coming up to make this tackle, but Drake London is in perfect position to crush the safety, and Bijan goes for 14. It shows up over and over again. But on this play right here, they ran it a bunch. The key to this whole play is this backside cut by Lindstrom. He gets blown down. He's their leading tackler. And you see what it does when it opens things up? They ran this play a number of times. And look at Lindstrom again. Throws the blade in the same run, but this time by Bijan. All right? Big runs. And honestly, like this Drake London is a problem. You watch him right here come around on a fold block right here and pick off Avonte Maddox. Like he can't make the play right there, and Bijan breaks the tackle. The blocking is outstanding. Like you watch Drake attack the line of scrimmage right here. Bam. Like almost takes the chin off. And now here comes Algier up the middle. Like Drake London caught the game-winning touchdown. And everybody's going to celebrate him for it. But he was excellent in the run game. Excellent. Like right here, look at this. They just cut the defense in half. They build a wall. And there goes Bijan for 19. He had a great day. Algier had a great day. But you watch this right here, and you watch Drake London. You watch Pitts. Like these two in combination all night long were a huge part of the success of this Falcon run game.
Now, again, that's just the edge rushers. What about the interior? Well, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, not much better. Like, sure, Carter is still facing a lot of double teams, but even here in one-on-ones versus Chris Lindstrom, do you see him creating any sort of real pass rush threat, like, at all? Oh, and don't even get me started about the new report that Jalen Carter was benched for the opening drive versus the Falcons because he was late to a team-related event. He's supposed to be Fletcher Cox's replacement. He's supposed to be the leader of this defense, and yet here he is, missing a team meeting, unknown why, but again, not a good look. Oh, and Jordan Davis, remember the first-round draft pick a couple of years ago, whose sole purpose in life is literally to stop the run? He doesn't even do that well. Listen to Fan Duffy absolutely ripping Jordan Davis on the PHLY podcast a couple of days ago and saying the Birds' former first-round draft pick is pretty much useless.
Right now, they have the worst run defense in football. How much does that fall on Jordan Davis?
I would say that of the issues that plagued the Eagles' defense, especially in the run game on Monday night, Jordan Davis might not be in the top 5. I don't think that was like that was a big reason why they gave up a lot of yardage on the ground. Now, I will say that Atlanta they did a lot of the outside zone, and a big thing with the outside zone, you're trying to get those guys on the move, on the run. And so if you're Jordan Davis, who's a large human being, he's going hard on the run one way, and then on the next play, he's going hard to the run on the next play, and then he's going hard to the run the other way. He did seem like he ran out of gas, but he was not the only one. There were a lot of those guys looked like they were struggling by like early second quarter, mid second quarter of chasing these run plays. Because it's not about necessarily chasing the running back. It's more you're chasing your gap. And so as if you're Jordan Davis and you're lined up between the left guard and the center are booking it to your right, you have to chase that gap to the right. And so even if the run doesn't come your way, you spent a lot of energy in that on that rep, and so I do think that certainly impacted his effectiveness in the game. But we saw some other guys come in, and Thomas Booker really flashed, and he did a nice job. The Eagles made some adjustments to the zone run game as the game went on, and I thought they got better as the game went on from that standpoint. But still, the missed tackles and the guys unable to defeat those blocks, that was the bigger culprit in this one.
Now, I know, I've seen the tweets, right? Vic Fangio is in charge of this defense. Ultimately, he owns what's happening in the past couple of weeks. But can we really argue his scheme doesn't work when the defensive line simply can't do even the most basic things right, like rush the passer? And sure, I'm all for Howie Roseman listening to PFN's Anthony DeBona and his newest article about the top 5 pass rushers the Eagles could target, which include Jadeveon Clowney from the Panthers and Tyus Bowser from the Seahawks, and yes, of course, Hassan Reddick. But would Clowney or Hassan Reddick even make a difference? Like, maybe not. I really don't know. I want your guys' thoughts on the whole pass rusher situation down below right now. Personally, I agree with commenter Cowgirls Niners Hater, great name by the way, who said, quote, "There is absolutely no pass rush. That's unacceptable. Haven't seen Bryce Huff do anything, and the most impactful person on the D-line was Thomas Booker." Which, by the way, that comment, Cowgirls and 49ers Hater, you are the winner of the t-shirt I was giving away on the Monday recap show, or I guess Tuesday recap show. You can pick up one of these by letting me know down below via email what size you want. It's all in the description box. Just send me an email. You won. I'll send you one later this week. Still though, when it comes to Booker, he might have been the Birds' best defensive tackle the entire game versus Atlanta, with the Eagles only allowing 6 rushing yards on 6 attempts when he was in the game, and 146 rushing yards on 22 attempts when he wasn't. Now, I'm not saying he's the next Aaron Donald, but listen to this stat. He had more TFLs and more quarterback hits than Davis, Smith, Huff, Sweat, and Carter combined on their 107 total snaps. Booker, he only played less than 15 snaps the entire game. And Booker almost didn't even make the roster. Like, he was one of the final people on cutdown day to get the phone call to be like, hey, you made the 53. It was really that close. That shows you just how bad the starters in front of him really have been. Oh, and just to make matters a little worse today, in case you weren't upset enough, how about preseason edge rusher standout Patrick Johnson, who I thought did a really good job at training camp. He was claimed off waivers by the Giants, so he's gone. Oh, and the Birds' third-round draft pick, Jalen Hunt, he's an edge rusher. Well, he was active versus the Falcons, didn't play a single edge rushing snap despite the poor play in front of him. Maybe another defensive line bust. Now, I do think the secondary was definitely better than the defensive line. Obviously not great, but still, rookie Quinyon Mitchell, for instance, he had some up and down moments, but I'm still very confused as to why Isaiah Rodgers didn't see a single snap on Monday night, whereas Keely Ringo did. We heard all training camp long that Rodgers was the starting cornerback opposite of Darius Slay, and yet now, suddenly, he's unplayable? Like, you can't even find snaps for him in sort of like a dime defensive look, a nickel defensive look, anything? Rodgers himself posted this pic of him on the bench yesterday to IG with the caption, "Control what you can control." And, like, I get it. Maybe his hand is still a problem, but it just seems like coaching malpractice to have both of your starting training camp corner and your starting training camp linebacker, I guess at this point, unplayable on a defense that is really, really bad. And again, Quinyon, he had his moments, but the rookie title showed a little bit too much for me on the final drive by the Falcons, according to Emmanuel Acho.
I woke up disgusted by the Eagles' loss last night, but let's look at how it happened. Simply put, the rookie, he gonna be a dog, but he ate the cheese. All right, we're in cover 2 at the bottom of the screen. What that means for the rookie in this situation with 1 minute left, sink, and make Kirk Cousins throw the check down. But that's not what happens. When I say he ate the cheese, what veteran teams and somewhat rookie teams will do, they'll put some cheese in front of you as if you're a rat because they want you to take the bait so they can hit this ball over the top. If Q sinks, he's going to make Kirk Cousins put air under this ball, and by the time this ball drops, Blankenship is there to make a play or a PBU. But because the rook, young bull, he eats the cheese, he sees too much. See a little, see a lot. See a lot, see nothing. He sees too much, he eats the cheese, and now just like that, bomb. That's a quick 30-yard gain. Mooney. All right, next play. Now it's just Mooney being a vet and a rook, bad eyes. If you're, again, Q gonna be a dog, but right here, if you're in essentially man coverage, I need you to be looking at your man. Because what are you seeing right now? Mooney breaking to the outside. If y'all see here, Q's still looking on the inside. Mooney, great route. He get paid too now. Catch, games yards, out of bounds.
Now again, I love Quinyon. You don't bench him, obviously. He still had a really good game. But can you at least get Rodgers and Quinyon on the field at the same time? Can you prove to us that Isaiah Rodgers is not worthy of playing in an actual NFL game before you just sit him on the bench and don't even use him? Now over to the whole throwing versus running Saquon on 3rd and 2 debate. That's kind of been like the biggest debate maybe in the country right now. It's crazy to watch people just argue what is, to me, a very simple overall opinion. But when you come to the Birds offense, I think it was pretty good on Monday night and continues to be really the best part of this team. Not perfect, but still, I think, really great. Even without A.J. Brown, they're still top 10 in several major categories, including points per game, 5th, total yards per game, rushing yards per game, passing yards per game, EPA play a game, and dropback EPA. And all those numbers are still with Dallas Goedert seemingly being completely forgotten in this offense, and apparently someone possibly secretly stealing Jahan Dotson, locking him away, and giving the Birds some average Joe in a Dotson suit because he's been, goodness gracious, completely irrelevant. I think when A.J. Brown comes back, the offense can easily score 30 points a game. Heck, even without A.J. Brown, I think they still can score 30 points a game. But you have New Orleans, you have Tampa Bay, Cleveland's defense all coming up. Man, the time to right the ship, especially defensively, not even talking about the offense, is really now or never on an already very young season. Now, again, we can't totally panic because they've had bad defenses in the past, and because the offense has carried them, they've still been able to win plenty of football games. But it's just crazy to me, looking at the film from not only the Friday game against the Packers, but this Monday nighter on your home turf, off of the bad field in Brazil, and the pass rush is this anemic. There's got to be some sort of change. You got to bench somebody, you got to make a point, you got to do something to make it better, or else it's going to be really a long season every single time we watch that defense play. We have plenty more stuff happening the next couple of days and weeks, including a Wednesday Link Live. Myself, Josh Davis, tonight, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Come hang out. We're going to talk about all the problems with the Eagles in a live setting where you guys can actually ask questions, comment. If you never join us for a live, they're a bunch of fun. Hit the notification bell and subscribe. That way you're notified when we do go live, but it's 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, so just write it down. Either way, I'm Thomas Mott, hanging out on a Wednesday. This has been The Thomas Mott Show.